being delivered by the determined purpose and foreknowledge of God, been taken by lawless hands and crucified. Now, if you spend any time in church, you realize there is a lot of discussion about the sovereignty of God and the responsibility of man. And there's very specific camps who say it's all about the sovereignty of God. And the other camp says it's all about the responsibility of man. And they go back and forth, and one guy writes a book, another guy writes a book. It's fun for the banter, but the reality is, like verse 23, the Bible teaches both. That's why, as long as there's been Christians, they've been discussing this, and as long as there are Christians, they're going to be discussing this. God is sovereign, and man is responsible. And again, and this discussion is only, again, it's a newer discussion in the church. It really popped up very, very strongly with the Enlightenment. Why? Because Enlightenment thinking wants to put everything in its nice little box. I want my nice tiny box. It's my intellectual little package, and I have it, and it feels nice and neat. Don't we all long for certainty? How much of our lives are affected by the things that we have a lack of certainty about? We don't like boxes that are open. We don't like things that are kind of hanging out there unresolved. And we do everything in our power to resolve everything, don't we? We're so busy trying to make everything complete so that we have safety and certitude. But the reality is the sovereignty of God and man's responsibility, they're not at odds with one another. It's a dance. It's a glorious dance. And yes, realistically, God's sovereignty leads that dance. Because God is infinite and man is finite. But just because God's sovereignty leads that dance doesn't mean that we should ignore his part. You guys watch Dancing with the Stars, right? There's not really too many solos going on there, right? Both the leader and the partner both working together in winning that competition. And that's the reality of the sovereignty of God and the responsibility of man. God delivered Jesus by the determined purpose and foreknowledge that he had. Jesus died according to the will of God, and man was responsible. They're not at odds with one another. So as people create their movements and their ideas based on one side of that or the other, I can say, listen, the Bible teaches both. And I'm content with that. Of course I want to put it in my nice little box and poo-poo the other side so that I feel better about myself and my theology. But the reality is God is God, and he has made man responsible. God determined that Jesus was going to die, and the Jewish people in Jesus' day, the Jewish leaders, they delivered him over to lawless hands. When they say the word lawless hands, they're speaking of the Romans, those who did not have the law of Moses. And really, the Jewish leaders delivered Jesus up over to Pontius Pilate, and he was crucified and put to death. God was all over the death of Jesus, and man is held responsible for that death. And that's a dance. I don't know about you guys, but I like dances. I'm content with that. I pray you would be too. It's so common in the church to get all into this stuff, when really, it's not about certitude. It's about God's faithfulness. God is faithful in sending Jesus. He's faithful in doing that. It was according to his perfect time. Exactly what God had in mind. Not one day sooner or one day later, because God is faithful. Pretty much everything that flows from here speaks of God's faithfulness.